بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا مولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم أجمعين. Dear respected guests, brothers and sisters, on behalf of Ihsan Foundation Board and on behalf of Ihsan Foundation, thousands of clients and customers that we served over the last 25 years, I would like to welcome you all for our event tonight. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and accept from you. I want to just share with you good news for each one of you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen you to come today to be part of this collective effort that we as human beings are doing to help each other, to help one another. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala selected you particularly to be part of that opportunity. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala thank you and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from you in your coming tonight. My name is Ihsan Khalil. I am board member of Ihsan Foundation for the last 15 years. And Ihsan has been started back in 1997. And until today, alhamdulillah, we're growing, working in particularly in West African countries. We started with one country, Sierra Leone, and then alhamdulillah, we grew now. We serve in over 7 countries, alhamdulillah, in the region over the years. So inshallah, we're going to start the program now. We're starting a few minutes late, but that's not new for events. So inshallah, we're going to start with the Quran citation from our dear brother.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث صدق الله العظيم.
صدق Allah Azim. Inshallah, we're going to start with the welcome speech for just a few minutes from Dr. Ahmad Al-Noura, the founder and the chairman of the board of the Ihsan Foundation. Dr. Ahmad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم سنريهم آياتنا في الآفاق وفي أنفسهم حتى يتبين لهم أنه الحق. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we will show them our signs on the horizons and within themselves until it becomes manifest to them that this is the truth. If somebody were to come to this hall today not knowing what's going on and ask, what is it that gathered these people here tonight? The last thing they would come to realize or think about is that this is for an African cause. The last thing they would think about is that this is for some distant land, some distant places on the continent of Africa. And I'm sure the vast majority of you in this hall tonight have never been to sub-Saharan Africa. You don't have relatives there, you don't have property there, nothing. There's something very, very special that ties you not only to Africa, but to all of creation. That thing is called Tawheed. And so, you see in this hall today, as a manifest sign from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He moved your hearts away from everything else, not because the cause is from your country or from your tribe, but because this is the call of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a sign that this is the haqq. I want to thank all of you for coming here tonight. I want to thank Al Salam Center community for opening the doors of their beautiful banquet center to this gathering tonight. I want to thank all the individuals, all our friends, and all the communities in the Sacramento area who came tonight to grace this occasion with their spiritual and physical presence. I'm happy to say that for the first time in our 25 years history, we have one event which is sponsored by so many organizations. It's never happened before. This is the first. We have about 6 organizations, very strong supporting communities, that came together and said, yes, this is our day. This is our event. Among them, we have, of course, Riva. We have my own home community, MCYC, the Falls community, very great supporting people who have a good word, and surprise, surprise, Miss Ba is there, but the surprise is CARE. CARE is based in America, but even CARE cannot be left behind. CARE cares for Africa. So I thank all of you for coming here tonight. You're brought here for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He will grace this moment for you and write all of the things that happen here tonight, whether you donate or not, inshallah, in the scale of your good books. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmed, for the welcome. So, without further delay, now it's the time for having some good, tasteful food. in Somalia. So he's going to walk us through briefly about the project that's being done and update from Somalia, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm very glad to see you all here tonight, and I want to thank you for being here. I think you have many choices to be any place tonight, but you chose to be here, alhamdulillah. And as Sheikh Ahmed said, what brought us all together here is La ilaha illallah. That's our common thing. I'm going to talk a little bit about Somalia and the program that we do in Somalia. I have been with Ihsan since 2009, which makes about 13 years. And I have done a lot of things in my life, and this was the most rewarding, and still is the most rewarding thing that I'm involved with, because it makes a difference in the lives of people, especially children. The program runs in Somalia. We have 16 orphans, 15 nomadic children, and we pay the tuition of 200 students. It is, I don't know how to describe the difference it makes to pay a tuition of a student for $12 a month. Because it makes whether that kid goes to school or not. And I will show you a little bit of what happens in these schools and these children's lives, inshallah. Starting with this school here, this is the first school that was built in a small town, small village. This school was initiated and sponsored by this community here. And alhamdulillah, the place didn't have school. Now you can see the kids outside playing and learning. This school, which is about 6 classes and an office, will be there for many, many, many years to come to help and educate children that would never have a chance to learn. And honestly, that's a huge, huge, huge difference in the children's lives. Something comes to my head and says, to change the life of a child will not change the world, but it sure changes the life, but it sure makes the life of the child the world. It means the world to that child. And that's the opportunity, and that's what these children we have given here, especially this community here. May Allah bless you all, inshallah. This is another program that we run in Somalia. It's called Dar Fatima. We start Dar Fatima in Guinea, and this is the replica of that school. We have Tahfidh program in the school. In the first part of the day, the children learn Islamic studies in the Tahfidh al-Quran. And I'll show you the pictures of the kids shortly. In the morning they learn the Quran, and in the afternoon they learn the academics. And it's a very successful program that we implemented. And a lot of communities in the nearby towns have implemented this program. Here are the kids learning the Quran and the school. This kid here you see, I think the one on the right hand side, these are Hafidul Qur'ans that they are 11 year to 13-year-old kids. And they have memorized the Quran. And alhamdulillah, here, if I go a little bit down, here's one of them leading the prayers in last Ramadan. They were alternating to lead the prayers for the whole month, aging 11 years to 13-year-olds. And they are from this program, this school, Dar Fatima, alhamdulillah. Here's what the $12 also does. The kids, I think we all know here, even in California, how important the environment is. Here is the kids planting trees in order to rehabilitate the environment. Here they are. This is my story all the time. I think some of you may have seen it already. I show Abdul Karim here. It's 2017. There was a huge drought in Somalia and famine. He was leading a camel to take water to his family. And then here he is. That's the life of his life. Is there. Few goats. Ihsan sponsored him through you. That's his first day that we brought him to the school. And in 2021 here he is working algebra. And I showed this kid all over again and again, because really that's the story of all the kids that go to that school. As a matter of fact, it's the story of most of the Somali kids. I'm just going to put him on this bed. I just met Jamal here, who is from Somalia. And the first thing he told me was he's a nomad. He came from Somalia. And we had the same story and the same connection. So that, what it really shows is that education transforms. Education will make a difference. And the $12 that we give to pay their tuition will make a huge difference, alhamdulillah. This is the morning snack that we give the kids. It's customary that the kids in the morning, when they pray Salatul Fajr, they come to the madrasa to learn the Quran, and that's the first thing they do, and that's how they memorize the Quran. And that's the hungriest time for the kids, because they don't eat until 9 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the morning. So Ihsan implemented a program that in the morning when they come in, they will have dates and water. And that gives them a lot of energy, and it has done a lot of improvement in their attendance and also in their health. Because as you know, tamar is a very, very nutritious, and Prophet ﷺ used to say, tamar and water is a complete diet. You see the kids smiling, beautiful faces, alhamdulillah. And I'm going to end with this. I just got it from the internet. It's not mine. This little girl is from Morocco. 20 years ago, she was just like the kids we just saw. She was herding sheep in Morocco. And now she's the education minister of France. And that's the transformation you can see from a nomad to a minister of one of the most developed countries in the world. We may have some differences. I'm not a big fan of France or anything like that, but it shows that and it proves that through education and hard work, people can reach. I think we can all agree that it takes a lot of hard work, a lot of education to move from a shepherd to a minister. And I was reading this morning, the person who replaced her is also from, his name is Babu, and he's also an African, someone from Africa, the new education minister of France. So I just want to thank you all for your support. I just want to thank you for all you do. We here at Ihsan, we're just going to make sure that we take that amana and will make a difference in the lives of children and the people who need. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Abdul Rahman, for this presentation. Inshallah, our next speaker will be Dr. Ahmed Bambura. He's going to take us, inshallah, through updates on Sierra Leone and Cameroon project, inshallah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I am going to limit this presentation to projects and initiatives that have been funded by this community. To do otherwise, we would just take all the time. And even here, I have to be very brief. All heard of the fire that broke out on an island a few years ago in Sierra Leone and devastated the community. This community is one of the strongest to make a response to that disaster that destroyed their masjid, destroyed houses, people were left homeless. And alhamdulillah, I was in this community at the time, and people really came around to do something to help that community on the Yeliboya Island. There was a fire, if you remember, that devastated the community, and yeah, everything, a lot of the island is gone, and you know about this story. And your response was really good. One of those was to rebuild the houses of those people. And some of the people who rebuilt houses are here in this hall today. Just rebuilt the houses that have been lost to the fire. Of course, we shipped out clothing. We collected from Folsom, from MCYC, from Noor, and those clothing were used also to help the victims of the fire on the island. Those are being shipped to the island, as you can see. I have to go very fast. This is part of the new housing that was built for the families there. And a new masjid is being built again from this community, from ground to the end. And it's going to be finished within a month, inshallah. It's going to be a brand new masjid for the community. Not only that, there is a Tahfiz school that has been built side by side the masjid. This is one of the most, Islamic villages I've ever seen. I mean, there are Tahfiz schools all over the island. It's amazing, And so many things about this. Only La ilaha illallah on the island, nothing else. They don't allow shirk, nothing. When I went there, I spent a night there, last time I was there. It's just an experience to be in an island that is completely Tawhidic, completely Muslim. And you can't do certain things on that island. We don't be allowed to. And the issue of it's just a very beautiful place to be. You see, they have the ancient method of teaching Quran on the island. The Imam of that island has not studied anywhere except on the island. And you should listen to his tajweed. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe this Imam, It's a place I'd like to study some more. This is dying out. I think that was when I visited, and I was just amazed to see such beauty and the preservation of a culture that has served us for hundreds of years. And also, this same community here found a clinic there that is in a very bad state, that is really dilapidated. And actually, one of the sponsors of that is here. And we're trying to renovate the clinic to bring it up to standard. You see them weighing the babies there in the clinic? So it's a very, modest place. But thanks to this community, change is coming to that island. Iftar was sponsored again, a lot of it from this community, as a way to help the people when they had a fire. The first Ramadan they were supported fully by Muslims who care. Beautiful. Community together, And again, this community built another masjid somewhere, most of it, let's say 80% of it, and some of the builders are here right now. It's in a village called Yongro in Lungi, which is the airport city in Sierra Leone, town in Sierra Leone. And they have one of the best, most beautiful masajid in Sierra Leone now. It's a small town, small village, but Allah He made it for them. People here in this community saw where they were praying in a thatched roof, rain coming all the time, and they saw the efforts to build, and they said, we would help to build. So, but 80% of this masjid is built from this community. So beautiful. You cannot believe how elegant it looks, and it's just a wonderful thing to see people coming together, children active. There's a Quran school there, 2 floors, just thinking. Again, from this community here, it's a long story. An old student of ours graduated from our school as an imam teacher, and he went out to form his own community. He built his own school. So one student who trained as an imam, he has 300 students. One student trained, you have a teacher for 300 students now. And he went out to start his own community, and he's building a masjid. He has, of course, financial problems. Again, this community here is funding the completion of this masjid. Alhamdulillah. So much khair, that's the stage we're at now. Inshallah, within a month or two, it will be completed at the village of Rukel. This is almost completely coming from our Sacramento area generosity. Alhamdulillah. One big project that the Ihsan General Hospital, again, I don't want to get into details, but this is one of the biggest projects in Sierra Leone undertaken so far, and members of this community are big contributors to that project. And there'll be a time we'll talk about it, but that's not the focus for today. That's where we are today. Inshallah, it will be with our sisters' help here, of course, Allah's help, and we have a medical practitioner now with us who's taking care of the health of the President of America, and she's been to the place, and she's determined to help us to make this the best of the hospitals in Sierra Leone. Now, the best is Indian. There's one Chinese, and there's one Indian, Chinese, and the one is one. There's a Catholic one. But this one, inshallah ta'ala, would make a huge difference for our people, but also definitely for Dawah in Sierra Leone ta'ala. So these are some of the images I want to share with you. Another place, Eastern Sierra Leone. This is really a very interesting story. You see that school, it was not meant to be a school, it was a masjid in Kenema, Eastern Sierra Leone. But the people themselves created, by the time they created a second school in the masjid, a side room, and it became very full. And that boy there, watch him, his name is Idris, and very tight, it's not meant to be a school. They put a second school there and then a primary school, and that's Idris. Idris graduated last year with a Bachelor's of Science from that school. And what he had to do, he had to transfer to another school because we have only 3 grades of school there. After he finished, he had to do a Qadiani school, which had the last grades of high school. So they have this problem constantly. But alhamdulillah, the good news is this community has decided to build an extension of their school. So these kids go to that school and finish and go to college. Idris is a star. This Idris guy is a star. Really a star. He got first-class distinction from college. Look at it. First-class distinction in college. And this year, he went to college to do his master's in agriculture. From that small school. And so imagine now that this community is coming around to build an extension to that school. We can hope for the best, inshallah ta'ala. We have some wells that were built by our MCYC community youth with the help of our brother Bilal, but we don't have the pictures here with us, but it would have been nice to see that as well. Cameroon, again, I don't have the pictures here. This community, we have 120 orphans in Cameroon. Most of the funding for that is coming from this community, 120 orphans. And some of them now are graduating. One of them, Hamisu, has finished his master's degree in administration and working. And the other one had master's, gone to Morocco for more studies. Orphans that are very young. And so this is supported mainly by this community. So this is just a very, that's him, that's Hamisu. He's now working, mashallah, executive, a job from an orphan to being responsible, taking care of himself, and also helping his family, inshallah. Somalia, we've seen the primary school in Somalia. Many of the kids that you saw there would never have gone to school without that school. You gave the light of education, not just any education, an education that is imbued with the eternal values of truth, the values of Tawheed, the values of Islam, which khair leaves the person from here to Jannah, inshallah. And so we stop here, that's the school he spoke about already. So it's been phenomenal what it has meant for us to have a new home in Sacramento area. We're here for only 9 years. This man dragged me to here. I've never known about Sacramento, but he brought me here, alhamdulillah, a very dear friend of mine, and he brought me for khair. And since I came to this place, Ihsan found a home here. We've had the greatest growth in 9 years. We can't talk about everything. I just thank you very much for your generosity, and Allah reward you and keep us together for His sake. Jazakumullah khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah for this informative presentation, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give additional success to all these projects, inshallah, for the time to come.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalatu wassalamu ala sayyidina mursalin Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa وسلم تسليما كثيرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I will use my time to provide a brief update on the Ihsan activities in Guinea. I will focus just on a limited number of projects on the interest of time, specifically on projects that are sponsored by people from this community. Towards the end of my talk, I will focus on the Ihsan Community College, which is primarily white. So in Guinea we have 7, 8, 9, 10 projects, but for this speak specifically, I will talk about two. I'll talk about two Tawfi schools and masjid. We have about 6 masajids in Guinea. But I'll just highlight a couple, that is the more recent one. And then I will talk about the Ihsan feeding program. There's a very important program which Ihsan does, which is the Farmers Assistance Program. I would also like to touch on it just very briefly, and then we'll wrap up with the Ihsan Community College. So I will just jump into the Tawfi schools. I'll talk about one specific one which is new and is in Kindia, and we completed it last year. It was funded by somebody in this community. This is a roaring success. And the highlight for this really is just to show what the result of an effort, the outcome of someone's donation to a community that needed it in Guinea. This community, we did not know about it. I did not know them, nobody within the board knew them, but they reached out to Ihsan because the gentleman who used to teach the children here, he had somewhere just over 100 kids. He suffered from a stroke, and luckily his wife was capable of taking over the institution to continue teaching. But they had to teach outside, rain or shine. They did not have a place inside. They reached out to Ihsan. We got a very generous donation. We built this institution, and I was there in January, and I believe Sheikh Ahmed was there in February. It's amazing. It's very beautiful, and they have done amazing work. That's a picture of Sheikh Ahmed in the institution. That was after I went in January and he went in February. This school has changed not just the change is not just for the students, but it's actually changed the community. When I went there the second time in April, because I went back to Guinea this past April, I decided to talk to the community elders, not the teacher or anybody else within the household. And I was informed that because of this institution, it is now very difficult to find a room or a house to rent in the neighborhood, because the benefit is widespread. If you live in that neighborhood and your kid can attend this school, you are happy, because you have a very good school, you have a great teacher, and the kids learn. People were trying to find places to rent in this neighborhood, and they could not find it. And that is the impact of the work you have done. This is, before we got to build this is how it looked. And this is for real. This was not staged. This is how they study. So they could only study when it's not raining and when it's not too sunny. Now you can see the difference between what you see here and where we are today. Next project I want to talk about is a masjid built by somebody within this community. We call it Masjid Leiboje. Leiboje is the name of the village. This is a community where before this masjid they had about 7 to 10 people praying Zuhur. After we built the masjid, they get an average between 50 to 70 people. Thank you very much. Thank you for that feedback. After the masjid, they now have 50 to 70 people. Every time I bring it close, I hear the echo. After the masjid was built, they went from 7 to 8 people praying Zuhur to about 70 people. What you see here is a picture of the inauguration in January. Alhamdulillah, I was present. It's amazing. It's beautiful. It was dubbed by the local news as the most beautiful village masjid. It actually transformed the community because that has always been Ihsan's objective, not just to build a structure, but to transform the community. The structure is beautiful, it's transformative, but we now have people traveling. First of all, they never used to pray Juma in this village. Now this is a place where Juma is prayed. We actually overestimated. We anticipated they would get, best case scenario, 50, 60 people to pray. They are getting 200 people to pray Juma. And if you see the women's place, as naturally somebody decided that they should leave the place for the men, they have to go far away from the masjid just to pray for Juma. I will show you pictures of that, and I will try to speed this up. I know I have limited time. What you see on the lower right is a picture of the women on the Juma prayer. Outside, where they would ordinarily plant their cassavas and their corn, that is where they pray, because the masjid, the entire campus, inside and outside, is full. This was also built by a main road. So the people who travel across the country, they always calculate, let's make sure we get our Zuhr, Asr, Maghrib, or Isha at Layboya, because here's a masjid, there is water, and you can pray. It's beautiful, it's nice. This is the impact of what your donations, your contributions can do. I will touch briefly on an Ihsan feeding program. This is a program that is very dear to me and very dear to Ihsan Foundation. There is a community in Guinea, in Conakry, that was built in the 70s by the then president. They call the place Cité Solidarité. It's the place where the people who are physically disabled are housed. I think in the 70s, there used to be subsidies to maintain it. Now there are no subsidies. The people live on whatever sadaqah people give them. It actually has become, for lack of a better word, a dumping ground for sadaqah. You want to give sadaqah, you go to Cité Solidarité, you give them and you walk away. When Ihsan got involved, we decided to look at beyond the day-to-day situation of the people in this building. In this building, we realized that there are generations of people who have lived there. Their grandparent, who was the handicapped person who stayed there and got a room, the children stayed, and their children stayed. So the children or the grandchildren are really not physically handicapped, but they are handicapped by lack of opportunities. We started with the feeding program. We provided food, and you see in this picture, when we bring food on a Friday, most of the parents are handicapped. They ask their children to go fight for the food. If they're not supposed to fight, we organize, we try to hand it to them one by one. But because the food is never enough, people have to rush and try to grab it and bring it to their parents. And these kids you see here, this is a school day. They should be going to school. But I was there at 11 a.m. They were not going to school. They were not in school. When I asked them, why you're not going to school? They said, oh, we went the first 5 days or the first 10 days because I don't have a uniform, I don't have a bag, I don't have books. They kicked me out. Ihsan's idea and plan is to change, to prevent the children of the people who live in this compound to continue to live there. We want to provide opportunities for these children to go to school, to learn, to do better, and to be the ones who give sadaqah and not the ones who give sadaqah. Thank you. A Farmers Assistance Program is probably the most successful program. It has changed communities, changed villages. People are no longer, in the communities we support, they no longer worry about where to find food right throughout the year. We are so successful in this program that the farmers who used to receive zakat and sadaqah are now giving zakat and sadaqah. I'm sorry I have to rush through this. This is the work in the farms, and I will land on Ihsan Community College, which is really the primary reason why we're here today. I will quickly outline the vision for this project, what's the need is, what's the timeline, and what are plans and phases of this program. The idea is to create a modern urban institution dedicated to providing skills-oriented education for Guineans and students from other West African countries. The Ihsan Community College will seek to build communal and intertribal harmony in Guinea by recruiting students and staff that reflect the regional ethnic diversity of Guinea and by teaching required courses in Islamic values and civic consciousness. The idea here is this masks a lot of issues in Guinea. Just what I said there, I cannot go through the whole details. There are problems in Guinea. The last two leaders used tribalism to stay in power. And now the political parties are divided clearly by tribes. And we want to come in and use education to change that. And this vision is born out of the work we have done in Guinea and in Sierra Leone. We can take kids from primary, secondary school, but we cannot take them to college. And we know when they get to high school, that becomes a dead end. Even if they go to university, which is the local university, they get out, they do not have the right skill, they cannot find a job, and over 70% of university graduates in Guinea are unemployed. If you're lucky to be from a wealthy family or from a politician, you end up going to Europe or America and you learn the required skills and you do well for yourself. The idea is we want to change that. We want to build a polytechnic where we can teach students technical and engineering studies. We can instill Islamic values and provide the needed skills for them to live on their own and be respected in community and take care of their families. This is something I've already said, 30% literacy, 70% unemployment, and we want to change that. This is the timeline of what we've been doing, where we are today, and what we want to do. We started back in 2018, acquired the land, we got the land docs, got government permissions, we have prepared the land for construction, dug a well to provide water. We have now started the actual construction, that is where we are. Starting from January this year, we have started building the foundation. And we are here today to ask you to join us in this journey. We are trying to make sure that the children of the not so well off, the children of the families who do not have the opportunities to go abroad are able to learn the skills needed so they can live a good life. They can acquire an education that will make them not dependent on the government, not subject to manipulation, and be the people who will actually take the work of Ihsan forward. We have experience in this. We have done this. We provide tutoring for students in Guinea, and we know the students we help, they do very well. In the baccalaureate, in the last 5 or so years, the outcome of the students we provide tutoring for, the result has doubled the national average. And the same thing for the brevet. But we see these kids come up and they go to college at the end of their school year, at the end of the university, they don't have any skills. And they just go and either become a motor taxi driver or they find something else to do. I'm running out of time. This gentleman you see here is somebody who was an Ihsan orphan. He came from a family of what we call, in my country, of slaves. They are slaves. His great-grandparents came from Mali. They came to Guinea. They were slaves until they abolished slavery in Guinea somewhere around 1957. After that, father had 9 children, nobody to support them, none of them went to school. We took this orphan after his father passed away. He went all the way to high school. He realized he could not go to college because going to college doesn't make a difference. You get out, you don't get a job. He studied 2 years in what they call vitrerie, learning how to install glass windows. 2 years later, he's done. He is an entrepreneur running his own business and is actually building a house for his mother. The second house in that village that is of zinc roof. 2 years later, I did the money we spent on him is less than half of what he's spending to build this house. Just think about that. Imagine we can do this to so many other kids, the difference it will bring. I don't have a lot of time. What you see here are the students of our tutoring. We had reunions, we had scholars come in and talk to them. These kids are excited, they want to learn, they just need opportunity. This is the crew at the building site, and work is ongoing. It's rainy season, those big holes you see in there is foundations for pillars. It's the rainy season, so we have to be careful. We have to watch the rains and try to manage that. This is a computer generation of how we think the Ihsan Community College will look upon completion. We have the fence, we have a lot of what we need to continue. I will leave you with the kids happy, looking at you, looking for your help. Thank you very much. Sorry I went over my time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khair for this informative presentation, and I just want to bring your attention that this college that brother presented, this is actually a huge project in Guinea that we are trying to collect funds for it to make it reality. So inshallah, with your help and with the rest of the community help, inshallah we can achieve that. Now, if you ever met in your life someone who came from a humble environment and find herself all the way up to be in charge of the most powerful person on earth in our time, in our living time now, and being part of a small team to be in charge of the health of that person, and then make a decision to leave this power all behind and decide to go back to the humble life that she came from, to contribute to bring that life up and help them with the experience and the knowledge that she gained. If you want to know that person, we are very honored and blessed to have an example of that human being with us today. It's my honor to introduce to you Sister Saibatu Mansare. Sister Mansare is a former White House senior executive, a physician assistant, retired and decorated United States Army officer, and CEO and founder of the Mansare Foundation. She was raised in Sierra Leone, West Africa. She has lived in the United States for over 26 years. Her 26 years of experience ranged from executive and organizational leadership, both within military and at the White House, health policy and humanitarian efforts, international diplomacy and protocol, strategy development, operation planning, and public speaking. During her 10 years at the White House, she worked with high-level government officials, ministries, dignitaries in over 45 countries across the world, as well as served as a White House physician assistant to President Obama, Director of Medical Advancement and Operations, and Tactical Medical Officer at the White House. Sister Saibatu is now back in her home country of Sierra Leone, focusing on addressing the country's maternal mortality crisis, raise awareness and call to action on youth and women's affairs, and lend her voice to Islam. Dear sister, please help me welcome sister, our guest, our keynote speaker, to come to the podium.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, friends and family of the Ihsan Foundation. I think this is the part where you guys say, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Perfect. MashaAllah. I am humbled, extremely humbled to be here with Muslims that are gathered here for the sake of humanity, gathering of the hearts This is not about strategy, thought-provoking conversation. This is about people in service to mankind. People with compassion who want for themselves, want for others what they want for themselves. The Prophet ﷺ, he tells us that if you truly believe, then you must want for your brother what you want for yourself. So as we sit here, let's ask ourselves, what do we want for our children? Because that is what we should want for the children, the youth in Guinea. We are here, we've seen what Ihsan Foundation is doing, and I can sit and listen all night about their work because it is truly inspiring, not from just watching the videos, but because I have seen it firsthand in Sierra Leone by the will of Allah, and I was absolutely impressed and fell in love with the foundation, and I don't think they can get rid of me anymore. I'm stuck with them, inshallah. We see these videos all the time on television here in the United States, and it's different now as I see it from a foundation that you're attached to, that you can truly validate what they say they're doing, they're actually doing it. But not only does what your support do to advance the foundation's work, but important that the foundation has taken a very unique stance that as foreigners, as Africans specifically, they're getting us away from the donor-dependent sort of situation to community being part of the solution to the problem. And that is an admirable trait that the Ihsan Foundation brings, which is different from a lot of international organizations that work in countries like Sierra Leone. So go back to the question, what do you want for your children, for your youth, is what we should want for the children in Guinea. We all want the best opportunities for our children. We all want them to be independent, productive members of society. We want them to be strong upon the deen, because we don't want them to be deviated or persuaded, and we want them to preserve the religion. You wanted a chance, and by the will of Allah, you were afforded a chance. And today you're here to give that chance back to someone else, a youth. Okay. You're here to give that same chance an opportunity, or even better, because we always want better for our children than we want for ourselves. And so if we want good for our children, then we should want good for other children as well in Guinea. And so you're all here today because you want to afford that Guinean child, that youth who's going to attend the Ihsan Community College of Guinea, you want the best for them. And so today, the Ihsan Foundation, not just today, since they started, it's been about changing our African narrative. And today we're here about a unique opportunity, a unique narrative change that focuses on equipping our youth with skills. Now, it's one thing, and Brother Ibrahima, he mentioned it. We have so many children, this is in Sierra Leone as well. Everyone graduates and they incur debt. It's not like living in the States. To go to school is not free in Africa. Even though it says free, it's not free, right? So they pay their way through school. Imagine going through all of that. You graduate 4 years later and you cannot get a job. And so to have a community college that focuses on skills is very important, because we don't have the jobs to give to these students that graduate with all these fancy degrees. But skills are things that we can use in our everyday life. Children in Africa do not have the opportunity to dream. In West Africa, they don't have the opportunity to dream because the environment is not conducive. If you ask a child right now in Sierra Leone, in Guinea, Senegal, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I can assure you, it will come up with one or two things. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a doctor. Anything after that, we can't dream past that. If you ask your child tonight, what do you want to be when you grow up? They'll name 5 things. You ask them tomorrow, they'll name new 5 things. You ask them the next tomorrow, new 5 things. Because America has created an environment where children can dream to be whatever they want to be. As far as distance it may be for you as a parent, as you look at your child and you're thinking, I saw your report card last week, I'm not too sure about what you're saying, but they can dream. A child in Africa can't dream. I remember growing up in Sierra Leone and thinking to myself, what do I want to be? Yes, I was one of the people that wanted to be a doctor, right? Because I looked at the healthcare system. I lived there for almost 13, 14 years of my life, and I went to the hospital one time. So I wanted to be part of change. So we know to be a lawyer or a doctor, that's it. No one knows how to be an architect. No one knows that I could be good at tailoring. No one knows I could be a good author. No one knows any of these things because we don't expose them to these other skills. I could be a good mechanic. We don't know that. And so with this community college, we are allowing children to dream. We're tapping into an unskilled, something they don't know they have until they're introduced to it, and now we have a dreamer. And with that dream, they go after it because the Ihsan Foundation doesn't do anything by a little bit, because I've seen their work in Kalabatan. They take over whatever it is they're doing in a good way. Not take over that we're going to own the problem, but they introduce the idea to a community, and a community falls in love with that idea. They take pride in it, and they own it. And this is one that we should continue to support. You're all here today because you have been unwavering in your support to the Ihsan Foundation, the Sacramento community. You, without your work, the Ihsan Foundation, they could achieve some things, but not as much as they have achieved thus far. And so definitely, before we get too far in this, we want to thank you on their behalf, to thank you for your continued support and for believing in a cause that in a place that you've never maybe heard of, or when you heard about it, it was something negative that you heard about it, right? And so you are believing in a cause, and we appreciate your compassion, your love for humanity, and for being human. When most of the world today is so inward-facing, we only care about ourselves and what we can get out of things. And for you all to step outside of that and say, I want to make a difference, is admirable, and there are not that many of us that are left. But alhamdulillah, we are Muslims, and by nature of our faith, our iman, we have a social responsibility to step outside ourselves and want the best for others as we would want for ourselves. The foundation has made a name for itself, I can tell you that. People believe in what they say they would do, and they are waiting for this to happen. And they cannot make it happen without each and every one of you being committed to the cause. Important for us to know that 70% of the population in sub-Saharan Africa is less than 30. 70%. So when you do that math, 70% are not contributing to the economic development in sub-Saharan Africa, right? So by 2030, it's also estimated that the youth population is going to increase by 42%. That's 42% of children, of youth, who have no hope if you don't be part of the solution to the problem. We'll have 42% more of youth that are not productive members of society, that are living a life of drug abuse, that are into crime, violence, human trafficking, looking for greener pastures and find themselves on the wrong side of the tracks and deviating from the fold of Islam. We have a unique opportunity with this rise in population for us to create tangible growth for our youth. But we must invest in them. We must empower them. We have to widen their aperture so that they can see that the sky is the limit. It's not just being a doctor or a lawyer. You can be anything that you want to be if we give them the opportunity to dream. It starts with the dream. It starts with believing in themselves and not have a continued environment of youth with wasted opportunity. And when we say invest in their mental, invest in their intellectual, their social infrastructure. And yes, as Muslims, it's also charity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us, O son of Adam, spend on me and I will spend on you. And we all are sitting here because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with so many favors. And what we can do in our tiny effort to show gratitude for the favors He's bestowed upon us is to help others. And so the Ihsan Foundation is calling upon each and every one of you, as they have done over the years, to continue to support their efforts. There's always the question, if it's not us, then who's going to do the work? And if not now, then when? And the when is the scary part of the question, because the longer we wait, that's one more youth that we have lost to society. That's one more youth that's on a path that we do not want them to be upon. And so we cannot let a single moment go by that we do not make a difference in improving Africa, in investing in a country or countries that you have very little connection to, but you're not doing it because of connection. You're doing it because you're people of compassion, people of humanity. We're people focused, and our heart is in it. And we have to be able to create an environment where the youth are better versions of themselves, where they believe in themselves. We don't have, I know in America it's sort of easy, you look at your children and you say, mashallah, they get to go to a beautiful school, they get to be whatever they want. The kids in Africa live a life of sort of hopelessness. I have nothing that I can do. What am I going to do? How do I take care of myself? How do I take care of my family? They just want a chance, the same chance that some of us have been given by being in this country. They don't have the opportunity to come here, but they want a chance, and they're willing to do the work if you give them the chance. Brother Ahmed showed us the video and talked about, highlighted Idris, right? This was a young man who was given a chance, and he demonstrated excellence. He just needed a chance. And what this college is about giving them a chance. Life comes very fast, but it goes by very fast. And we have to capitalize on it before we wake up one day and we have a population of youth again with missed opportunities. We don't need to wait for a single moment for us to make or improve or make a difference in Africa. The youth, we always talk about the youth being the future, but the youth are the faces of the past, the present, and the future. So there is no point in time that you cannot impact the life of a youth. And today, the Ihsan Foundation is calling upon you to impact a youth, starting with this college in Guinea. The youth will do the work, they just need the opportunity to do so. I had a chance, I was fortunate to come to the United States, and I had a chance, and I held on to that chance, and to this day I still hold on to it. I hold it with two hands because I know what I left behind, my peers that I left behind, and I know what was expected of me. You're now on your own to go figure out life, but don't forget where you came from, and make sure you bring that back so that we can continue to have a better Sierra Leone, a better Guinea, a better whatever country you all are from. We are part of the solutions in our country. We can't live in a country in America and we forget about where we came from. And we also cannot sit by while we have youth, especially our Muslim youth, deviating from the path of Islam because there's a need, a poverty need, a lack of skills need, because those things will drive people to make very poor decisions. And so again, as much as I keep bringing up, we need your support. We definitely do. A lot of work has gone into this, and we continue to seek more support. I thank you once again on behalf of the Ihsan Foundation for believing in a cause for a better Africa, for your unrelenting support to life-changing work that they're doing. I leave you with a quote, and this is from Booker T. Washington. He says, "Those who are happiest are those who do the most for others." May Allah reward us all and accept our good works. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much, Sister, for this very logical and inspirational speech. Alhamdulillah, Ihsan has been blessed with the support of many good-hearted people. And to listen to the sister and the words are coming from her heart, it's really impacting our understanding of what's the magnitude of the work that we have to carry ahead of us. And thank you, sister. Inshallah, we're going to conclude with, the famous saying that, the best at the end, or the sweetest at the end. So, inshallah, we're going to listen to our dear brother Imam Alauddin al-Bakri. And Imam Alauddin al-Bakri is a renowned Imam and doesn't need introduction, but he's one of the most impacting figure, not just in California, but in the United States in general, where he's actually supporting and helping all the good causes across the country. So Imam Ala, please come forward.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تقبل منا انك انت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا انك انت التواب الرحيم ربنا اتنا في الدنيا حسنه وفي الاخره حسنه وقنا عذاب النار. Ya Allah, accept from everyone who donated tonight, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, keep your blessings that you have given us there. Give us more blessings, Ya Allah, and use us as the means to guide others, to help others, to support others. And Ya Allah, you are the biggest of all supporters. For we, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. Ya Allah, enlighten our way, guide us, and accept from us whatever we did tonight. Ya Allah, reward those who cooked for us tonight. Reward those who organized the tables, the volunteers, the small people who nobody noticed them. You notice them, you know them. We thank you, Ya Allah, we thank them for their service. Ya Allah, bless this masjid, Masjid al-Salam, for hosting this event and make this community a blessed community, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, we ask you that we go home tonight with way much more hasanat than when we came in, Ya Allah. With your acceptance, with your honor, please honor us, Ya Allah, and make us honorable in your eyes. Ameen, Ameen, Ameen. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك.
I just want to thank one particular person in Salam Center, Brother Osama, the office manager, who was the hidden soldier behind the setup of all this event today. So I just want to give a special salam to him and thank the entire National Administration for allowing us to do this event here tonight. Brothers and sisters, may Allah bless your hearts and let's celebrate this wonderful outcome, the outcome of having you to be part of it. This is really a celebration that you got the opportunity to be part of this care and to be part of this effort that inshallah all of us are going to see it on our books on the day of judgment. And Jazakallah khair, and may Allah bless you, and inshallah see you next year. Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum.